And it says we are live. This should be David, the Georgia photographer, cranking up a Friday night live stream. Let's see here. I'll kick off a comment into the comment section. Today is November. I got bit by a bug on the forearm already. Man, that itches. It's November. They ain't supposed to be bugs. There's the bass angler. How you doing this evening? We got some interesting news that came out in the photo world this week. Figured it was worth throwing out there. Let everybody see about it. And the main big things that happened this week are that Nikon released the 600mm f4 Z mount lens with a built-in teleconverter. It's going to be super glass. How about something that looks like this? Wouldn't that be awesome to have? Talk about some heavy hitter glass out there in the glass verse. This thing has all of the tricks. It has them all. It's beautiful. Everything about it. But yeah, it has vibration reduction. It's an S-series lens. It's also $15,500. But we won't talk about that. We'll scroll on. But the guys at DP Review done videos on it. They had a good time with it. It apparently performs superbly well. And it better for them kind of dollars. But if I was to be a betting man, I would probably say that a lot of technology from this AFS lens that right here was brought over to this Z mount lens. They're going to tell you it's a complete redesign, but I'm going to guarantee you that probably a bunch of the architecture is very similar. Because, you can see even the Z mount version is going to be longer to make up the flange distance difference. And, you can tell the bodies are slightly different, of course, and they've added a button here, and there's a command dial or something there, where this one's got focus. I think this is the focus band right here. And this is just a huge grip, so you can hold it. And then, of course, there's a battery of switches on these, and they've got them on both of them to do the similar jobs. Hey, Claire, how you this evening? There's Hassan and John Taverna's here. Hey, guys. Oh, look, bass angler's dodging the tornadoes again. Yeah, bass angler needs the 600mm f4 and a Z9. Shoot. I mean, if you could find some kind of a gig, like a pro football team nearby, maybe in like Dallas, Texas, that you could think of maybe to go photograph and sell those photos, then make the lens and camera pay for itself, that makes a little more sense. But to get this thing to do just hobby photography, whoo, you got to have them disposable dollars. Hey, that and a Z9 would be something like 21 grand for the pair. Yeah. And you haven't bought any memory cards for the Z yet. And let's not forget that it uses those nice, tasty CF Express cards. But I thought that's incredible. But yeah, this is a comparison between the original AFS lens and the Z lens. And you can see it's a little bulkier, but I'm pretty sure the specs will show you that this is a very, it's got fluoride elements. It's got, like I said, they pulled all the punches. That's what the FL in it means right here. It's fluoride elements, extra low dispersion, all of that jazz. It's going to be a winner. This lens is going to be stellar. So expect Chelsea to be running one of these on a Z9 pretty soon. That's a joke. But, I think she runs a D850 and the 600 f4 AFS already. But all that aside, the next big thing, go back to me being here. Hey, y'all, I'm here. The next big thing to come out was this bad boy. Let me go back to this. You have the massive, heavy hitter, all powerful, better than the world gets Canon EOS R6 Mark II. And the guys, over at DP Review did a beautiful article on it here. It's got much improved specs from what I could tell over the original one, in that it does all of this video stuff. They're real big on video specs now, if you haven't noticed that. Let's see, we got Scott Patterson. He said, good evening. Latham Woodward. Hey, how you doing? Thank you for jumping in. Script Wick says, David, my 150 to 450 gives me a field of view if a 600 millimeter lens new for under $2,000. Woo! Yeah. This, oh, sorry. This is the wrong one. I have to jump back over to here. This will never be $2,000. You could probably buy one of these broken for $2,000. Man, it'd be hard to solve that mystery. The D500 uses CF Express now. That's right. It did use those. What was them other ones that was there before it? Yeah, I forgot about that. Hey, Charles Davis is here. How you doing? Good to see you. But now I've done lost it. That's the screen. I'm jumping around a lot here because I'm still trying to learn how to be efficient with these web pages. It's not very easy. Now I'm back on to where I was. But what I was looking at was the EVF. This SL2, let me just look that up. It has a $5.5 million EVF in it, I'm pretty sure. And I'm almost certain. Well, let's close that one. It's been out several years. That's what I'm looking up here. Nope, I don't want to go to a Slack room or a Mac files or a deeper. Well, let's see here. March 2020. Looks like it came out in March of 2020. But yeah, say 5.76 million megapixel OLED EVF. That's not even a million dots. Megapixels that would be 15 million dots, because there's 3 dots to the pixel. When you look, when you see this spec right here, this is something to watch out for when they're manipulating the data to make it sound like something it's not. The 3.68 million dot EVF means it's whatever that is divided by 3. It'd be like a 1.2 megapixel EVF, because every pixel has a blue dot, a green dot, and a red dot. And I learned that a year or two ago. But they say it like this because it sounds like a bigger number than it kind of is. Because, they'll only turn on one of those 3 LED dots for each spot on the display. So you're not seeing all 3.68 million. You're only seeing 1/3 of them. It's kind of neat. But they've been doing this for years. That's the way they spec them. But this one on the SL2 says megapixel. So I don't know if it's legit megapixels or if it's 5.76 million dots. I don't know. I have to check that. Let's just look and see if it says it. But that was a big selling point, and I can attest it has incredible resolution. No, right here. It's it's dots. There it is, 5.76 million dots. But it's something that it's kind of misleading marketing. You know, everything else is in megapixels. The sensor, the screen on the back. Look, see, well, no, the screen on the back on this one says it in dots. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, hey, there's Aaron. He jumped in on the stream. Let's see. XQD. That was the other car type. Yeah. I'm still hanging in there. Good, good. That's on David. The new Fuji X-T5 has my gas active. Oh, boy. I ain't got much. I really wish I could dismount this camera easily and just show you guys, but it's tied down with cables too. I can undo the mount, but there's a power cord feeding it because it don't have a battery in it. I have one of those power source batteries that's hardwired to a power brick, and then it's got the HDMI cable tied to it. So to break it loose to show you, I added a UHF VHF base radio the other day to my stack, so it's gotten 6 inches taller with another radio. And it's currently on the Tri-State Amateur Radio Club repeater. Let's see. WK4DS. There it goes, little ID. It just sent the K4SOD/R call sign to ID the repeater. Right. That's a whole new rabbit hole. But it's not one of the little mobile radios. It's this huge base rig, and it's all modes and stuff, because I wanted to be able to tinker in that some. All right, back to cameras. Let's see. Aquí en la casa. Here in the house. He's been studying that Spanish. There. Bass Angler doesn't know what aquí en la casa means. He probably does now. But yeah, this is a really nice camera from what I've read so far. And from what the guys at DP Review said, it got real high marks there too. But I noticed that they're really working on the video specs here. If you look, the video is showing, get back on subject, they've got 6K ProRes RAW fed into a Atomos, probably a Ninja 5 recorder, or Ninja 6, or whatever the next hottest one is. And then you got 4K 60 frame video. And I'm assuming that means it's native into the camera. It'll record that internally. These cameras just keep getting better and better and better as far as the specifications go. It's just shocking how good this machine is. This will be a hard camera to beat. It really will. Especially since it's 24 megapixels, it'll be a low light monster. You know, that's a full frame sensor at 24 megapixels. And your photo sights being bigger makes your ISO a lot better. It'll just work really well. Now, they talk about the 12 frame mechanical shutter thing. I don't know why people keep talking about high speed shutter like this. I really don't understand it at this point. I don't know anybody that really cares how many frames per second it'll capture. I know that, you know, that for sports photographers and wildlife too, that's important. But for the average photographer, it really isn't. I rarely put mine in high speed continuous. Ever. Let's see here what we got. I also have a good teacher. I'm going to teach you Southern English. Bien muy bueno. Let's see here. Latham Woodward says, question for you. I have been using the Leica Telit 600mm vintage lens for a bit with the pistol grip. Love the results at the price. Not good for action, but excellent for a lot of things. Thoughts? If it's okay, my thoughts on it is I really want one of them lenses just for the cool factor. If you just want to know the truth, because like you said, it has the pistol grip to hold it up and you mount the camera to it. That whole system is just pretty slick. I would enjoy shooting with that. Now, practicality, it's manual. I mean, you can, if you're shooting static wildlife, it will work fine. You know, you're shooting an elk herd grazing in a field, or deer, you know, milling around in a meadow, or walking down a trail in the woods where you've got time to focus track them, or maybe birds perched on the limb. You know, shooting birds in flight, your hit rate's going to be very low, very, very low. But for anything else, it's going to be incredible. Ray's in the house. See, Ray makes a good point. You know, I was talking about the 12 frames per second. I'm going to jump back over to Canon, and then I'll come back to that 600mm lens again, because I don't want to lose. We'll move past this in a minute. We won't be back. You know, the 12 frame per second mechanical shutter is like a sweet spot. It's like Ray said down here in the chat. He's turned his Z9 down because 20 was just too much. What it's doing is it's just creating such a mass of photos to wade through that they all start to look the same, and it just buries you in post-processing time. That makes sense. There. I think my chair has settled down on me. It has. Ha-ha. Now I'm sitting up, not down in the floor. My stupid air cylinder is leaking on my chair. I was like, why is this microphone up above my head? Bassman says he means he shoots yard roosters like champagne. Yeah. I think this thing's broken. I got it turned off. It shouldn't be going down, but I think it is. But that 600mm is a sweet lens. If I hadn't already got the 500mm phase Fresnel for my Z50, the reason I like my Z50 and 500 is it is autofocus and it's easier. It's just easier. And when I go, like when I'm out shooting wildlife in Costa Rica or Panama or somewhere, a lot of times we do these tours and they'll take us like up a river in a boat, and that's where you'll find the little kingfishers and things, and it's easy to get to them because you're just floating along the water. They'll cut the motor and you'll just kind of drift along, and the wildlife will come back to the water's edge pretty much because they're on that river a lot, so they're kind of used to the people, the activity. And I can use, you know, since I'm moving, I can run image stabilization, and I can use autofocus, and I can just take several shots of each bird, and usually one of the 5 or 6 will be nice and crisp, and I can get photos pretty good that way. But, you know, if I'm static, like I said, if I was static, it wouldn't be a problem for me at all to run that manual lens, because those things are wonderful, dude. I wouldn't sell it and upgrade unless, of course, like I said, you're getting into like moving photos or more fast action where you've got to track focus or something. Other than that, I'd rock it. Great answer. Static nature shots are almost magical. Yeah. That lens is special, dude. It has character. That's the magic thing about it that I like. Bass Angler says, well, I know someone who would buy your 500 PF. Oh no, do you know somebody? I can't think of anybody that would want it. John Traverna says, reckon if you're shooting from a blind, you could get great bird photos with an old manual focus like a 600. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, you know, our forefathers and some of us from that era that are still around today, that's what they had to work with. So they used it, you know. I mean, back in the 80s, all of the pro football was shot with the 400 and 600 millimeter and 500 millimeter AFS, F4s and F2.8s, you know, and they run them with teleconverters. They did all that with manual focus lenses back then. You know, autofocus didn't happen until the late 80s. So it's kind of, you know, they just had to make it work, and they did it. What it came from was a lot of practice and knowing the sport and pre-focusing in a specific area, and then shooting far enough away that you had some depth of field to work with. They kind of cheated the system and understood how to manipulate their equipment, because that's all they had. But and then also, I will send you a check Monday. I don't know. The ones Nikon sells through like B&H and Adorama is probably cheaper than what mine costs, because I have some extra costs involved with mine. Plus, it's a special one-of-one edition that was used by the Georgia photographer, and it has lineage and history, so it's a little more valuable than the ones that Nikon sells now. But, you know, I'm going to jump back over to that 600 millimeter again. But, you know, they did. They just used it so much that they basically married the gear. It just kind of makes sense, you know. If you use a piece of equipment and that's the only equipment you use day in, day out, it's been 10 minutes, then, you know, you'll implicitly learn how to use it. Plus, they would run them big, you know, them big film auto winders, big canister film bodies that would have, you know, that would hold, what was it, 300 photos on a spool. It was a big spool of film with motor drive, so they had room, and then they would burst fire too. They were gaming the system to their advantage, but, you know, with digital, we got unlimited frames pretty much, and so it's, you know, it's not a big problem at all. Hassan says, went out and shot my kids running around in manual focus just for practice. He said, ended up being a lot easier than I expected. The mighty SL2 is currently wearing the 35mm f1.4 Voigtlander Nocton. This is a full frame 35mm f1.4 lens. It looks almost odd on this big SL2, you know. It just looks odd on it, you know, and it works. The photos I took today were taken with this setup exactly as you see it. I haven't changed it over yet. I got a Sacred Harp singing tomorrow, so the 105 is pre-staged and ready, and I'm charging the battery that I had in it over there. The rest of them are ready to go. I normally don't run more than 2.5 batteries in a day, and I kind of break rules. Like, I'll do in-camera delete to like limit the number of frames so that when I get home I got less to work on and all that. I kind of, when there's down times and I have periods when I can get away with it, I'll get rid of the dupes and get rid of the ones I don't care for in camera. So it's kind of easier, you know, but Charles Davis said didn't have autofocus when I started. It wasn't even a thing. Yeah, my Yashica I had. I'm not sure when that Yashica camera came out. I could dig it up online, and let's change this back over. I could dig that up online, but it doesn't matter. It was a manual camera. What it had was aperture priority, so it done some of the exposure math automatically. But the focus and the aperture were still manual. Well, no, you could have aperture priority. It had the functionality to select the aperture. If you went to shutter priority, it would choose the aperture, but it had an external aperture ring, and it had manual focus. You manually focused it, so it and that was in the 90s, and I was using that. So yeah, it hasn't been that long ago when people were using manual focus out of obligation instead of choice. You know, today It's a choice. I'm shooting manual focus because I want to. I have autofocus lenses, and I use them occasionally. Like the 50F f2 is on that little CL body right now. Here in a minute, I'll probably switch it back, and I'll put this 35 back on it and put that back on this one, because that's normally what I operate with. But I just wanted to play with this lens and camera setup today just to kind of see what it was like. So I used it. Bass Angler says, I use in-camera delete every time I go out and have never had any trouble. Yeah, I have heard the argument for and against doing it, and I have deleted stuff that I didn't want to before because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. I have been known to shoot video on some of my cameras, like my Z6 was the one that I done it on the most. I'd shoot video with it and then take stills, and then I'd be going back through it like after an hour or two and just doing some cullings, and I'd come up on these like what appeared to be misfired shots, like it would just be of nothing. And then I'd delete it, and as the delete's starting to process, I'd see the little play button up in the corner that shows that it's a video clip, and that's why it has that weird preview image. I've done that a time or two. That's the down to in-camera delete. One thing I learned quickly was depth of field is pretty important when trying to get running kids in focus. Yeah, you learn to stop down. F8, F11. You shoot in the sun, not a problem. Bass Angler says, Hassan, you're shooting at F22. Yep, that's what I was thinking. Let's see. Hello, with my kids, I had to cut a hole in a cardboard box and hold my hands in a pretend camera shape. You guys are having too much fun in the chat. It's off the chain tonight. Woo. Now, let's see here. Oh, back on subject. But if I remember right, Phil ain't in here tonight, but Phil's going to that Georgia game tomorrow with Heather. They have tickets, the Georgia-Tennessee game. And one of my machinists, who's also a photographer, him and his wife are also going to the Georgia game tomorrow. So apparently they may have traveled down there tonight, so they'll be there in the morning. I don't know if they're going to get up and drive down in the AM or what. I really don't know. But I think Phil's already got his order in for one of these R6 cameras, R6 II. He sold some stuff the other day, so I'm assuming he's generating revenue so he can get the Gen 2 version. He likes the R6. He shoots with it pretty regular. Shoots a lot of sports with it, so I'm pretty sure that's why he wants it is for its sports capabilities, low light especially. Excuse me. I'm trying not to yawn on camera, but I ate a whole bunch of pasta tonight, and I can tell it's making me sleepy. I found some spaghetti, and it was super good. Hassan says, one problem on the S5 is focus peaking is a bit weak. You know what I've done lately? I've quit using focus peaking altogether. I've just turned it off. What I do now is I just zoom in and I dial the focus till it looks like I want, because what I have found with the focus peaking on my cameras is it's seeing a range of objects that has like the Leica cameras use contrast to detect autofocus, so I'm assuming it's using that sharp edge contrast on the in focus items to determine where the depth of focus is, and it seems to miss. And even with my Nikon, when I'd manual focus on them, it just didn't work as good as I was thinking it would. And it works pretty good with like big apertures. Like you're shooting at f1.4, the depth of field is so shallow, what's in focus is accurate. But when you stop down to like f8, it causes problems It really does. You'll think stuff's in focus, and when you get home and get it on a big computer screen, it ain't. It missed it. It'll usually be a little back focused. It'll be focused behind it a little bit, or usually it's what's right behind what I was focusing on would be the thing with the focus being. And I think it's because it picks the depth of focus behind. It does that deal where it's what you picked and behind it or something. But I had to quit using it. And I haven't had any problems with it because I'll use focus magnification. I just zoom in on what I want to be in focus, dial that in, and then take the frame. And I've learned to use the joystick, move the focus point to where I want that to be in the frame when focus is made. So I'll go ahead and push it over, or I'll make it touch on the screen, or whichever way I do it. Usually it's the joystick. I'll drive that focus point to where I want it, get the composition like I like, and then I just hit the joystick button on the SL2 and it zooms in. I dial focus and I just fire the shutter because I know it's already composed like I want. Bass Angler says Dave is the manual focus king. I don't know if I'm the king. I'm a well-practiced journeyman, but I don't know that I'm a king at it. I miss a good bit too, so all of today's photos were manual focus. I will admit that. Even the one I took tonight. Where'd I put it? Oh, it's in there on the table, I guess. I took my film camera out. I'm trying to finish that roll. I got to get at least that roll done and one more through the camera before the end of the year so I can send off my project film come January. I'm going to send it to Memphis Film Labs where Aaron told me to do it. He said they do wonderful work. Hassan says, what do you think of the new XT5? Well, let's just take a gander. There's a video on it. I don't want a video on it. I just want to see it. Let's just do it this way. Whoops. Spelled that wrong. I'll just do a quick Google search. Images. I'll switch this over so you guys can see what I'm seeing. All right. Fuji rumors. Let's see what we got here. Oh, we got a cage, XT5 body, pre-orders. All right. What I'm looking for is not the cage. Oh, come on. I went to the Fuji Rumors website. Yep, is this it? Terrific sales, but Amazon stops taking XT5 pre-orders. But don't worry. You can still pre-order at Adorama and B&H. What I'm trying to do, I guess what I need to do is go to the Fujifilm website. I don't want to place a pre-order. That's all this says. All right, let's go to Fujifilm.com. Let's try that. Hey, look. Okay, country. North America. United States. Zoom in on that. What have I done here? I don't want to go to the corporate office. I just want to go to... Oh, you're kidding me. Ah. Why me? What I want to see on the specs is the size and weight. That's what I'm looking for. Because I know it's bigger because when the XT4 came out, it grew. All right, here we go. Let's see. It's got IBIS, yeah. Wonder what 1.5x IBIS means. Normally it's a bunch of stops, not just 1.5. Everything looks the same as the XH2S, which is their video-centric camera. It's got a 1/8,000th native shutter. That's nice. I like that. Where's the size? Mechanical shutter. Wow, 19 frames per second mechanical. That's fast. Once again, nobody will use it, but it's fast. Yeah, this screen is made like the XT4 from the looks of things. I'm not seeing the specs on the size. There's the I/O. We're getting there, I think. There's your porting. What I was looking for was how the screen folds out. If it folds out to the side, then it has the same hinge arrangement as the XT4, and it's probably going to maintain that because so many YouTubers complain about a side articulating screen. They want that so they can see themselves. Of course, I look right here on OBS and see myself and get my framing like I want. But, I mean, if you're walking and vlogging, they want to be able to make sure they're not cutting their head off. And I guess they want to use long glass, but, you know, that's the best I can come up with. Is why you got to have that side folding screen. The XT3 flipped up and down, and then it kicked out a little bit this way from the body. It kicked, and that was so that you could do vertical down low without having to get down on the ground to focus. I thought that was ingenious of them because you could hold the camera down low in portrait mode by the grip, and the screen would kick up a little bit so you could see to compose. And that was why it did that. And that was ingenious. So it had waist level shooting because it would fold up, and then it had fold down for like if you held it up above your head just to fire down at a crowd with, or to, you know, to do something like that. It made sense. The directions it moved made sense. And I like that about it. It doesn't fold out to the side. Okay. Because see, the XT4, let's see here what we got here. The X series ISO shutter quick and easy to set, even the camera switched off. The XT5 is 50 grams lighter than the prior XT4. And yeah. So, and I guarantee you that's in that hinge mechanism because they did make the XT4 side fold, and it made the camera a lot bigger, is what they found. Yeah. Let's see if we can find those two compared in a photo. Let's just put that in the search criteria and see what happens. Nope, that wasn't enough. How about that? Maybe it's under images and we can see them. Yeah. Ooh, that can't be it. No, that says XT2. I don't know what I'm looking at there. All right. Let's go back to all. Head-to-head comparison. Let's see. I want to see them sitting side by side. That's the whole family. But yeah, you can look here in this picture and see, excuse me, that the XT3 is a good bit smaller than the XT4. You can see that it comes down lower, even though they're pretty well level at the top. It needed more space to add that articulating screen. It grew some. It looks like it's about the same as the XT5. Yeah, there you go. They look to be, well, no, this looks like it might be slightly smaller. Yeah, I actually think they did go back down to the XT3 footprint. Interesting. But yeah, that's pretty interesting information that they went back to the XT3 style screen. Yeah, you can see on the XT4 where it pivots. Oh, look, it can do animal detect focusing. Oh, look, it's only 16 millimeters deeper than the XT1 because of them having to make room for the IBIS. LCD screen. Yep, that's kind of neat. I wonder if they were having trouble with the XT4 screen failing in some way, or if it was like the articulation broke, because that's a pretty frail connection point where it does that pivot. That's pretty interesting. I might be interested in one of them XT5s. Man, it's so easy to sink your money into cameras. Man, it's so easy to do. Let's see. Oh, y'all been having fun in this chat. What have you been doing down here? Let me check. Charles is gone. All right. Yeah, like Charles said, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. No modesty, just own it, Dave. Script gives you a green dot in the viewfinder when you're in focus. That's nice. It's the same as the XT3. Let's see here. Learned my lesson from the last time. Whoa! Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic is under 3 feet of water from flooding from rain. Woo! Yeah, avoid that. Yawning on your liquor is a party foul. Oh. Let's see. It's the same as XT3, more photography than video. I like a good optical viewfinder. I guess it's because I use big glass 99% of the time. This is Bass Angler's statement. But I do not understand wanting a smaller camera body. I like a big heavy body and a battery grip. All right. The only time I like smaller cameras, honestly, is if I'm doing street exploration style photography. Because then it doesn't make my neck hurt, because I'll be out walking the streets of Chattanooga for hours, literally hours, and this thing gets heavy. This with that 50 millimeter Summicron on it, it gets heavy after 2 or 3 hours. Your neck starts to hurt, and you wind up carrying it in your hand a while, and it's nice to have a lighter weight camera. And image quality on APS-C is phenomenal. You know that. You got a D500. And so it's not, the size of the sensor really doesn't make a big difference. Just get a Z9 and put the 500 on it. Oh, you're killing me. Hassan says he definitely likes smaller cameras. Like the XT5, the Lumix S5 is a full frame that is not much bigger than the XT3. Woo! It's a little bitty thing. Great idea, Ray. That's what Bass Angler said. Now, this brings us, let me check something. Wow. Just talking about those two things, 3 things, because the XT5 crawled into the conversation. We had the 600 f4, the EOS R6ii, and the XT5 somehow snuck in there because I'd forgot about it. And we're 44 minutes into this stream. How did we do that? Anyway, the next part of the stream, let me just push this down, and this is I'm going to do the photos first. There we go. Look at that. I can do this, and I'm kind of torn on this one because I think I need to level it I think it's out of level, and I got enough I can crop it in pretty easy. I like the image, but I was in a hurry because this switch engine was moving. He was coming in. As you can see, the lights are burning. The guy's in the window. See him right there? There's his shoulder. But yeah, they were rolling this switch engine through moving cars. And I waited on him till there was a semi going on. This is the interstate overpass. He came under it right on this rail. I got photos of him coming under it with light stars. When this engine was in the shade of the interstate, it produced big old light stars. This lens makes beautiful light stars. But I wanted a semi going over the bridge while him driving under it. And if I could have figured it out and had a car on the paved road at the same time, that would have been epic, but there wasn't any cars at the moment. So I shifted the focus to get both vehicles in the frame and kind of take the roadway out of it. Now, I did do some manipulation to the frame. Of course, you always do like clarity and contrast and junk like that. Down in this area, I cloned out the top end of a notification post that says gas main's buried right there. Apparently it's buried on this side of the road or something. But it was sticking up in this region somewhere. And I just cloned it out with some more of this brush stuff. And I can't find it. I know I did it, but I don't know where it's at in here to have done it. And then this piece of debris that blew out of somebody's truck was really, really bright when I edited the image. So I just come in and created a mask layer over it and lowered the exposure and just darkened it so it wouldn't be such a distraction. To remove it from the frame, it could have been cloned out, but it just wasn't worth it to me. That was actually there. I just wanted to take emphasis away from that and push it to the train engine. And with all that yellow, you just can't beat that. But, that was a distracting corner element. I kind of wanted the train to be what you really noticed. The XT3 did not have IVIS, because I had an XT3, and it took phenomenal photos. I'm just going to put that out there. Let me see. Y'all are talking about that Z9 like it's going on. Let's see what you got saying here, man. Y'all are blowing the chat up. Z9 is the ultimate street photography camera. No noise, so nobody knows you're shooting. And it's weatherproof, and it's like built like a tank, so if you bump into something, you won't break it. Yeah, it kind of is the ultimate street photography camera. I use a scallop type messenger bag with my SL. Cuts down on the neck strings, what Latham says. Latham, if you would do me a favor at some point and email me a picture of the bag, I'm interested. I would like to see one of those. It's on my website or in all of my videos. You can find my website, and on there there's a contact me, or you can just email it to georgiaphotog@gmail.com. I would like to see a photo of that if you wouldn't mind, and the name, because I have the Everyday Messenger by Peak Design, and it works fine, but it's not super ergonomic. Over time, it starts to wear on your shoulder too. Bass Angler says, crop it to the rear of the semi and it will look cool. That would get rid of this signpost too, wouldn't it? I was trying to balance the dead space on this side of the frame with that side of behind the truck too. And I didn't want to keep pushing this side over because I'm just trying to maintain this aspect ratio, this 1980 by 1020, basically 16 by 9 ratio or whatever this is. But yeah, that's a pretty good point. Let's see, the next photo. Oh, come on. There we go. I became obsessed with this turnstile because of, well, look at it. It just looks apocalyptic. It looks like something out of The Walking Dead. And I just could not quit looking at this photo. I took images of this turnstile gate from 2 or 3 different areas. See, I'm outside of their fence here. Right behind me, is the road that passes through the fence and goes into this property of whatever this factory is. They were doing something with logs because they had giant mountains of sawdust that's basically to camera left. And the semis would come in and turn and go in between the fence and that blue building in the background and around the corner with a bunch of logs every so often. You can see the rail cars right here. I don't know, like I said, I don't know what they're making here, but yeah, I was really liking this apocalyptic look of the badge reader. You know, that's a card reader so that people could unlock this gate and pass through it. But yet, look at it. They even put a street light on it and had barbed wire to prevent you from climbing over it. And, you know, it's like, man, they had security at one point, but literally to camera left was a huge opening in the gate. And the gates looked like they hadn't been closed in years. Big old swing out gates for the semis to drive through. And seriously, they were growed up in the weeds and bent, and it looked like it had been years, literally, since them gates had been used. But yeah, at one point, they were serious about their security. And I'm assuming this was probably a contractor entrance point because it's outside and right across the railroad bed, which is right behind this row of weeds. The railroad comes right through this little gap in the trees, runs down beside them trees right behind me, and just runs kind of parallel to this fence. Well, look, right on the other side of that is where I parked my truck, which was a gravel lot that was just about growed back over in grass, and they'd been mowing it. But you could see it was still gravel, and apparently at one point there was contractors parking there. I thought that's a pretty cool thing. But yeah, that was my favorite photo from today, was the turnstile from the apocalypse. And then you can see this is the same intersection where the train was coming under the bridge, but the train hadn't showed up yet. And I was just trying to get warmed up. I always just take some photos when I get to a location to kind of get started with the creativity. So the first few photos will be something like this. It'll have a subject, and I'll try to compose it, you know, and I'll be messing with settings, and I'll play with like the aperture and see how I like things, and maybe I want to underexpose a little, because you can see the sky's a little blown out here. You can just barely see any color in this corner at all, and all this is white. That's probably not clouds. That's probably, you know, it's slowly fading to blue this way, so it's probably just overexposure. It looks like there's some overexposure on the semi, like the front of the grill looks solid white. It should have dirt on it. You look at the bumper, you can see it's dirty. That looks overexposed there. This does right here. So I probably need to run it, you know, some exposure compensation. But that's why I take photos like this. It's a cool picture, but it's not like anything special. But yeah, that's the reason I get them kind of photos. I'm going to jump back over to this for a minute and talk to you guys about what you've been talking about in the chat. Man, you've been having some fun. Hassan says, Ray, the Z9 is like a fat guy at an anorexia party. You notice it. I'll be honest with you, Hassan. When you see it in person, it's a lot smaller than like a D5 or a D6 was. It's a lot smaller. It's bigger than my XT3 was with a battery grip, but not by a lot. It's actually a very compact camera design. They kind of shrunk the Pro Series bodies that have the integrated battery grip down to what the Z9 needed to be. It's not big for the sake of being big, if that makes sense. It has what it needs, but nothing it doesn't. I was impressed. But yeah, it's not as big and obtrusive as you would think. It just kind of ain't. XT4 has IBIS. I think it does. I'm pretty sure it does. I think the XT5 got the IBIS from the XT4. I think they just moved that mech into the new body and added a better sensor. Fast Angler says, Hassan, burning on Nikon is a bad thing. Oh, yeah, because we got the Nikon crowd in here. Let's see. Nikon rules. Yeah, nice shot. Oh, he's replying to my discussion on the photo. Okay, Steve, tech guy, says, what are 3 must-have lenses if you could only have 3? Which focal lengths? Very good question. All right. I already know the answers because I know what I shoot. Does that make sense? And it would be, I have them. That's why I know. It would be the 50mm f2, 50mm Summicron, because I shoot with it a lot, like probably the most. It would absolutely be the 105 f2 DC Nikkor, because I love this lens. That's number 2. And number 3 is a toss-up, but it isn't. It would be something in the 20 to 28 millimeter range. And that's because I shoot like my wildlife, not my wildlife, my landscape, nature photos with a wide angle. And I'm not like right here's my 28. I got this little 28 f3.5 Pentax lens. Wonderful little lens. Right there sits a 24 millimeter Nikkor. And the other day, I had this 20 millimeter out. And so any one of these 3 will give me the look I'm after. The 20 millimeter probably be the one I would pick, just to be honest, because I can crop in and get 28 millimeter appearance field of view. You know, you can crop it down to what the 28 would see from the 20. And with 47 megapixels, I got enough to do that. So yeah, it would probably be a 20 mil, an 18 or 20, somewhere in there, you know, of some reputable manufacturer. Like this is the Nikkor. This thing takes beautiful photos. And then it would be the 105 f2 DC Nikkor. And then it would be a 50 millimeter native prime. And that would be what I would pick. These are the 3 lenses I use almost all the time. It's kind of interesting. Ray has like 3 lenses maybe that he uses almost exclusively for his sports photography, and he rarely takes anything else. You know, like he got a really nice like 150 to 400. What was that new lens you got, Ray? Thank you, Latham. I appreciate that. The Boreas Stinson bag. Am I saying that right? I probably am not. I normally pronounce names wrong. Oh, y'all are still looking. No, you're not. You're looking at me. Okay. I have 2 screens now, and the top one has the photos that I was discussing. The bottom one has the, what you call it, OBS software on it, so I can see what's on the stream. And just caught myself. Kind of got switched up there. Oh, he just got wasn't it a Sigma 120 to 300 f2.8? I'm pretty sure it was a Sigma lens, wasn't it? He likes Tamron and Sigma glass, and it doesn't affect his photography. People will rail on third-party lenses, but when you see his photos, there's nothing, you can't rail on them. They're beautiful images, which just goes to prove that the equipment is capable. It just, the photographer is where the magic's at. No matter how much of this stuff we buy, the loose nut behind the viewfinder is the part that's the magic. Yeah, Sigma. Yeah, he bought the Sigma. It takes stunning photos, dude. Yeah, I had a personal bad experience with a Sigma zoom lens, and I'm at this point I'm beginning to think I got a bad copy, because lots and lots of people have had wonderful performance out of Sigma lenses since then. I had one of those like 150 to 500 telephoto, and I sold it and got the 2 to 500 super zoom from Nikkor, and of course it took stellar photos, and I used it until I got my 500. But that's the only Sigma lens I've ever bought, and I do know that the Tamron lenses take stunning images, because Aaron uses Tamron glass, and they work super good. But yeah, Steve, that's the three I'd pick. I don't need 200 millimeters for 99.9% of my photography. I have the 500 millimeter for wildlife, but that's a specialized thing that I only shoot occasionally. For the bulk of my photography, those three lenses do it all. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like to shoot the birds, and it's kind of just as a diversion from my regular photography. That's why I got the 500 with the little Z50. It's not because I'm super into it like Phil and Heather, or, you know, or people that, like, you know, what's his name? The guy down in Florida that photographs the ospreys. I can see his face. I can't remember his name. I can never remember these guys' names when it comes time. But y'all will tell me in the chat here in a second. The 55 to 300 PLM weather resistant is my most used lens. Wow, 55 to 300 millimeters. That's impressive. You said the name right. Good. Thank you. They're fixing up a batch of Soylent Green. You have to be of a certain age to even know what Soylent Green is. Put a thumbs up or a yes or something in the chat that signifies if you know what Soylent Green is made with. Yeah. Mark Smith, that's his name. I knew somebody would know. How you doing, Ron? Cuban Rum's here? Is he here? Ray says, Steve, tech guy. Nope, no idea. There was a movie in the 80s called Soylent Green. It was a future movie. I'll give everybody time to drop their comment in the chat before I spoil it. Ray says, I will admit I'm a f2.8 or faster addict. I like shooting fast glass. I do like it. Claire says soya and lentils. That's a good guess, but it's wrong. But it may be for different reasons, Ray. I like fast glass. Like, this is a 35 f1.4, and the reason Hassan says no idea. Put a Z9 next to a D4. There's a difference. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, even I noticed earlier Ray said that his D850 with a battery grip on it was noticeably bigger than the Z9. Hassan says Sigma lenses are very, very good and over-deliver for the price. They make native L-mount lenses too. They're part of the L-mount Alliance. I have looked. Ron Durant has seen it. He's seen the movie. Soylent Green was made with deceased humans, and it was fed back to the population in the future. You all ate this green food, and it was made out of your dead relatives. Yeah, it was a cool movie. It and Logan's Run was cool. Logan's Run was kind of odd because, you know, I was coming into being a teenager when it came out right around that time, and I think when they turned 30 years old was when they were terminated in that movie to manage the population. You only got to live 30 years. And then they had this ceremony where they killed everybody that was over 30. And Logan didn't want to go through that, so he ran. Hence, Logan's Run. John Trevina says a 400 plus 24 to 120 and a 50 primes. What he's telling Tech Guy, that's what he would want. That would actually be a good kit, a really good kit. A nice long telephoto, a broad spectrum all-purpose zoom, and a good fast prime. Didn't Logan have a robot girlfriend? I'm pretty sure she was an android in that movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I was just a kid when I watched it. I haven't watched it since. I believe you're right. I think she was an android, or, was supposed to be. And in the 80s, they couldn't fake androids real well. I mean, have you seen Terminator? But yeah, I like fast glass. Getting back to that, where Ray was talking about that, because I want the light in really low light situations. I'm going to jump back over to here. Oh, wait. Well, we'll finish up these pictures. But I shoot at night a lot in the summer and in the winter, but I like to gather the light to speed the shutter back up. It gives me, it allows me to run a more realistic shutter speed. I'm not down at 1/5 of a second or something. I can handhold shoot and get good keepers 99% of the time at 1/15 and faster. 1/10, it's probably 80% success rate. The IBIS works really well, but there'll be times when it just don't get it, Hey, Donald, how you doing? Thanks for dropping in. From Southern California. Woo. I watched Death Race 2000 from 75. Strange movie. You get points for running people over with cars. Yeah, I remember Death Race. I think that movie came out about the time they started doing the cannonball runs. Where they go from New York. There's like a certain garage in New York to a certain pier in California as fast as possible. And they start the clock in New York and stop it in California. And it doesn't matter what happens in between, the clock's running, And there's been a bunch of guys, like there's a guy who done it during the pandemic because nobody was out. Everybody's on lockdown, so the interstates were empty. And he set some kind of crazy record because of that. But yeah, or but with a lot more killing. Yeah. Scriptwick says my Europe lens kit is a Sigma 18 to 250, which covers everything in my kit plus some. A 50mm f1.7, which is a nice fast prime, and a 35mm f2.4, which is still fairly fast. I don't know what this is. Something. I got something because something bit me. That's interesting. That's a nice kit. In my world, the 35 and the 50 are so close together that I'd eliminate one of them and get something else that would be more unique, like maybe a 100mm macro or something. But that'd be just me. I mean, if you have things that you like about them too, yeah, I got bit by something in November. It just don't make sense. But if you enjoy using each of those lenses and they both serve specific purposes, and you're not just switching them back and forth kind of on whims, then that makes sense. But yeah, I like the kit. I like that 18 to 250. The Nikon, when I first got my D7000, Nikon had come out with a 18 to 200, and I got one of them because Ken Rockwell said, he's got these little joking narrative intros to his little lens reviews, and when I got to that lens, he's like, you know what you can leave at home if you take this lens? The camera bag. All you need is the camera and a battery in your pocket. And I was like, man, that would be so liberating. And so I bought one, and he was right. It takes wonderful images. It does have the variable aperture, but so what? Just let it variable aperture and take the pictures. You know, I ran it in aperture priority and just ran the aperture as wide open as it would go, and it still took stunning photos. And it was compact because it was an APS-C zoom. Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that, John. He's already had a heart attack. That's rough. I've been fortunate. I have been spared that experience thus far. Me and Teresa have super cleaned up our eating, so maybe I will get to avoid going through that experience. Steve says, I like the 100 f2 compression look. Not too zoomy, but great bokeh. Yeah, that 105 f2 is sweet. Man, it just takes stunning photos. I forgot the Samyang 8mm f3.5 fisheye. Now that's a lens you need a job for. Man, I don't know that I could shoot like a whole photo book's worth of photos with something like that. It would be hard to do. That would be hard to do. Don John says nothing that tastes good. I quit eating meat. I haven't eaten any meat of any significance. Like maybe it would be cooked into a sauce at a restaurant or something. That since early this year. I don't remember when we actually started officially. I think it was after I came back. It was after we came back from... I don't remember. I don't remember. I did a keto diet for a while where you eat nothing but meat. Yeah, I did that too. No bread, no potatoes, nothing that goes with your steak, just the steak. I did that for a while, and I lost a bunch of weight. I'm doing it as a, what do you call it? Some people will call it virtue signaling. I'm not doing that. I'm doing it as a, I guess you could say it as support, because Sierra is on a vegan diet for her health because she needs the nutrients to fight pandas, the brain infection disease she contracted. And so that we believe in what she's doing, I guess is the right language. I told her I'd do it with her. As her dad, I'd do it too. As long as she has to, I will. And I feel great. I do. They have that weird joke about vegetarians go around going, I feel great. Kind of do. I just don't go around bragging to everybody. I don't feel like I have to tell every person I meet, I don't eat meat anymore. I just don't eat it and just go about my day. But I have actually put on weight since I quit doing keto, because I'll still eat noodles. And they have eggs in them. They put eggs in noodles. I don't care. Like I said, I would eat a steak right now if it wasn't because I was doing it to support Sierra and her mission. But yeah, if there's an egg in the noodles, so what? But I haven't like eaten a hamburger. Nope. No steaks. And then I'm pretty sure I got the deal with the tick bite and you're allergic to meat, but that's a different story altogether. Steve said, yeah, I agree, Steve. Same thing. My girl's 20, Yeah, a little more shine up there. The side should be a little duller because I didn't shave it this morning. That's tomorrow morning. 8 ounces of steak and no pasta. Yeah, I'm the other side. I'll eat the pasta and you get the steak now. Cuban rum just had ribs for dinner. But like, yeah, I do not eat salad. Yeah, I am the oddest vegetarian you'll ever meet. I don't eat salad. I can't stand salad. I don't like yogurt either, but I don't eat yogurt because it's made out of milk. But yeah, I won't eat salad. I don't like them. Never have. Steve says, how's the weather down there? Any tips? Any trips coming up? All right, let's see. Before I jump into that subject, I'm going to go back to this because there's a few more photos. Let's see. Oh, got to click on this right screen. Or set the screen in motion. This is that gate I was talking about earlier that was right behind me. I'm back across the railroad bed because you can see the crossing sign there. But I waited till one of the trucks was coming out of the gate so I could have something for scale. The building's enormous. Like I said, I don't know what they're making there, but they have these silos everywhere. But this is, I grabbed this one because I like the railroad crossing sign. I thought it was kind of cool because it's all faded out. And then this was what it was like when I got down there today. There was this low-hanging fog over everything, and I figured out where the fog was coming from, and I think that's in the next photo. But yeah, I thought this is kind of a moody photo with shooting into the sun like that. I thought it was just cool how everything was backlit. It just has a kind of a ethereal look to it. There's the silos broadside. The turnstile doohickey is, it's kind of over here behind this tree. It just happens to be the way it works out. It's right in here somewhere. This was down the road, and I think I'm going to make a triptych because you see these silos are I'm just down the road to the next entrance to the next like factory. And I like this railroad track switch mechanism. I wanted that in the foreground, just trying to do something different, and got down low, you know. But I think a triptych would be cool to have this photo, this photo, and this photo together, because all three have these white silos in them. I think that'd be neat to have all three of them together. I may put that together and put it on my Instagram. But those are all the keepers I brought away from today. But now, smog or fog. Oh, the reason for the fog wasn't there. I could have swore that picture, it didn't make it out. Oh, well, watch this trick. It's here. Nope. No. Is that it? It don't look like it. What is that? No, see, I told you I took pictures from like every conceivable direction of that turnstile. That was looking through the weeds, but it was too cluttered and you couldn't tell anything. This is it. There's where all the fog was coming from. What this is a galvanizing plant in Chattanooga. And they're actively galvanizing whatever these things are in this image. I could see all that. I thought it was smoke, but it's actually steam coming off of the galvanizing vats. They're heated vats. Ron Durant says, is this in Chattanooga? No, it's in Jasper, Tennessee. I was out there on business the other day, and I happened to notice, and I thought, man, I want to go back and get some photos of this, because this is like really grungy industrial. And of course I couldn't go inside the fence, but I was able to, the road's literally right behind me, right to the camera right. It's literally 10 feet behind me. I was able to pull over out of the road and get out the thoroughfare, but I was able to hold the camera up over my head, and I pre-focused it and just took a frame, and that way I could see over the fence. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Is that toxic? All the way. I am almost certain, because it'll be a chemical bath with zinc dissolved in a electroplating solution. If I'm right, they're using electrolysis to do the plating. So it'll be some kind of chemical solution that'll have zinc dissolved in it, like zinc sulfate or something, where they've dissolved it in sulfuric acid. It'll be something nasty like that. Yeah, you don't want to be around it if you can help it. But I'm pretty sure that's steam you see coming off the tanks, where they use water to thin it down, and they heat it so that it works better heated. All them plating operations, if you heat them, you get better action. Hassan says, Ron Durant, we will find out if David starts leaking Soylent Green later. I drink a smoothie every morning that looks like it's made out of Soylent Green. Let's see here. Now, getting back on subject, the question was, how's the weather down there? Any trips coming up? Okay, the weather is unseasonably warm. It's downright hot right now. I don't understand what that's about, but it's okay. I mean, it's t-shirt weather in November. Something's up with that. And as far as trips, tomorrow we're going down almost to Atlanta to a Sacred Heart singing. I'm going to photograph it. That's why I've got all my gear out behind me here. I stage it all on the bed, make sure I have everything, then I bag it and leave. And then, let's see here. As far as like real travel, I don't really have anything right now that I'm aware of. Not for the rest of this year that I can think of. We may go to Gatlinburg at some point and see the Christmas lights. I really want to go up there and see if I can figure out a way of photographing said lights that's interesting. And I may do it with something like this guy, a vintage lens that has nice sharp cornered aperture blades. This one has 5 slightly not round aperture blades. That should make some epic sun stars. And so I may use this and just try to make beautiful sun star images with the Christmas lights. But yeah, I want to do that. But as far as that goes, that's really all I got right now. I don't have any like big trips planned, I don't think, for the rest of the year. Bass Angler says, you need to come shoot eagles with me. Do I need 12 gauge or 10 gauge for that? Steve says, same up in Canada. It's very warm here too. Anybody here ever use Fast Stone Image Viewer? It's an amazing photo viewer and utility app for Windows. Let's see. I use Fast Stone Photo Resizer, believe it or not. Because them images we just looked at, yeah, here, let me just switch it back up. Here's the program open, but the photo resizer is super intuitive. Like if I want to resize this image, you can see it's 33 megabytes. I add it to the queue to be resized. You can go over here and tell it what folder you're going to put it in, and choose the folder you want. And then you name it what you want. You go under advanced options and you tell it how you want it to resize it. I normally tell it the long side and however many pixels I want that to be. So if I want it to fit on a regular computer monitor that's not 4K, then I make it 2,000 pixels on the long side. Now, when you take a SL2 image, which is 8,300 by 5,000 and something pixels, and you scale it down to 2,000 by 1,300, check this out. Let's convert it. No, I don't want to override it. But what it done was it changed the file name. Oh, it skipped it. Nah, hold on. Let's do this. Convert. I did these earlier. There we go. Now, the new size is 1 megabyte. I saved. It went from 34.3 megabytes to 1 by going down to basically 1/4 the original size. This program is awesome for that. But yeah, I don't use the photo viewer, but I do use that photo resizer app regularly. All of my YouTube videos, I scale them down to 2,000 pixels before I put them in the video, because then the video editing software can process them easier. Unless I want to like punch in on the image for some reason, then I'll leave it at full size, but I normally don't. I normally down-res them because there's no need in having them so big, because I export in 1080p. And that means they're going to be 1920 by 1080 when I'm done. That's why Phil said he started doing his exports in 4K, because it puts more resolution in his images. So when he puts an image in the screen, it has better detail. And that makes sense. We got to see a triple La Nina going on. Makes for warmer winters. Interesting. I didn't know that. Bass Singer said LOL 10 gauge. Albert Jimenez. Hello. Good evening. Ron Durant says, yeah, he uses it. Ah, yes. Same software. Yes, it also has a viewer. Yep, that's what I use as well. I didn't know it had a viewer. I've never used the viewer. You can make me open it back up and look. That's weird. I just changed the display looks. I kind of like it though. I'm gonna leave it. All right. Ron Durant's dipping out. Good evening, Ron. Thank you for stopping by the stream. That's an hour and 27 minutes long so far. We have dropped 20 frames on the whole hour and 27 minutes. I'm not sure what caused that. Probably one of the transitions got it. That's pretty good. Out of however many hundreds of thousands of frames it has streamed, it's only dropped 20. The viewer allows you to compare 2 or 3 images side by side. Interesting. Right now I have to open different photos into multiple things and compress them and all this garbage. Yeah, that would be kind of handy. I got a couple of little unique pieces of software I like. Down here at the bottom I have this one's called PT GUI. No, not right now. This is what I use to stitch my panos with. This program that's what it's for. You load the images and then it does a bunch of complex math, and then it'll give you the setup functions, and then you create the pano. It's a cool program. It's called PT GUI. And then of course I have GIMP and Exposure, which is the editing software I use. Yeah, look here. Let's fix this. There's the picture. You can see where I cropped it to get rid of the sun. And you can see where I cloned out that valve right there. It shows it in this picture. I just cloned out enough to get it to hide it. But let's see. Where's the level thing? It's right here. Okay, what do we want to be level? Let's do this. There, now it's level. And we're done. And now all the edits are back. But yeah, if I hit this before, you can see the valve comes back. See how bright the piece of trash is over on the side of the road. And then I just cloned out the valve thing because it was real distracting, and it just took this exposure down on this little piece of trash till you didn't notice it. Yeah, I thought that's pretty cool. It goes from a little seemingly flat direct sun image to a kind of neat one. I kind of like it. Need to re-export that now. But it's kind of a discount version of Lightroom. I mean, you can see it's got all the same kind of stuff. Let's open this one. There's the truck coming through. I haven't edited this one at all yet, but it's meant to do top down. You do your crop first and any leveling necessary, and then it's got this Band-Aid thing is like for healing. Like you say, you got sensor dust and you want to clone it out, you use that and click on it, it goes away. It's kind of handy. And then you'll add some contrast. That's way too much. Take down the haze a little bit. Get rid of some of that smoke. Add some clarity. Make it look nice and crisp. It's kind of simple, just like all the other stuff. Ray says, just say it. You're scared of Adobe products. I'm not scared. I'm just cheap. I don't know. I ain't really cheap. It's just that I just didn't like the subscription model. It's just something about it. I just didn't like it. You buy this once and it's yours. They actually gave me the version 7 since I bought version 6 and had it like 6 months. Version 7 launched, and it gives you a notification when you launch it. It'll check for these updates, see, and it'll tell you, and it told me version 7.0 was available. Do you wish to install it? And I did, and they never sent me a bill. So I got the upgrade for free. But it does everything I do. It's got a bunch of these things. You can go in here and mess with the colors and all that jazz. There's a bunch of crap down through here that I never use. But yeah, if I was really into editing, I would probably go back to Adobe. It's got some functionality, some stuff that Ray was telling me it does now. Makes it real appealing, but man, that $120, $30 a year just to use it is a lot. You're scared of it. Adobe's money still using my Photoshop from 2008. My daughter got Adobe for free through school. That's a deal. It looks like I'll have to go back after the stream is over and look at the images. There's a few more. I only went over about 6 or 7. I didn't go through that whole photo album. This is a lot more. Matter of fact, if I do this, it's just these and maybe one more. I think that's it. You can see what it is you got the edits, and then you got the first export, and then you got the resized ones. I think is what you got. Yeah. See how it says stills, edits, and web edits? Web edits means I've down-resed them so that they move through the internet faster. That's why you see the same image in all three. There, and there, But I don't know why. I probably renamed them something funny is the reason it reordered them. But that's what's going on there. But like if you hit a different folder, then it'll open up. It'll open that folder here instead, but it's showing what's in this SL2 stills folder. But I've got it filtered with this. See, there's a lot more images where I just took photos. This doesn't include the culls. The culls are a different folder. Well, that is the culls. Okay. You can see I took a bunch of the interstate overpass. Like I said, that was where I warmed up. Matter of fact, the train engine ones are right here. This one of them? Yeah. Next one. This one's got some pretty cool light stars. Look at that. It turned out pretty awesome. But it's, there needs to be a car on the interstate. And I even thought about photoshopping this truck into this image just so I could have a truck on the bridge. But I didn't do it. But it would be cool to have that train with them light star headlights with a truck or something, visible on the overpass. But yeah, I really like this program though. No, wrong button. There we go. And I even named them. Anybody else use Photoscape for photo editing? I think I've heard of that one, but I don't think I've ever used it. Latham says, I use Photoscape X Pro and love it. Ray says, processing 4 sports events a week at times, worth every penny. He's talking about Lightroom and Photoshop. They're also wizards. Him and Phil are like masters of Photoshop and Lightroom, and they can make them do things that I can't. Ray makes these really cool graphics. If you haven't checked out his Instagram, you need to check it out. He's got some really cool photos. And last week, I featured somebody's YouTube channel, pretty sure it was Martin Castine, and didn't have any audio on the whole thing while I was talking about it. And I found that out after the fact. I felt like an idiot. Let's see. And who was I going to talk about this week? Yeah, thought so. Let me just switch this back over. I'm going to do it this way. This, if y'all haven't figured out yet, is Ron Durant's page, and he's just stepped away. He's gone now. Ron, as you can see, has 142 subscribers. If you're into landscape photography, particularly waterfalls, now he's got a bunch of videos of foiling. He's big into foiling apparently, but as you can see, it's Ozone Falls. There's another waterfall. There's another waterfall. Pelicans at Chester Falls, Piney Falls. He gets incredible waterfall photos. So if you're into nature photography, it wouldn't hurt to give him a subscribe and look into some of his videos, because he takes stunning waterfall photos. The first one I ever saw that really, really captivated my eye was one of these that was kind of like this one that's in this picture here, this Roaring Creek. I'm not sure if that's the one. It probably ain't. Or it was one like this one here where it says wildflowers and waterfalls. And down here in the foreground of the photo, I can't point at it because I'm trying to point the mouse and when I scroll over it does something. But down in the lower corner where the water swirls are, there's leaves trapped in the swirls. And so it's swirling so consistently that the long exposure is showing the swirl marks, and then there's leaves in it, and it's beautiful. Oh, it was just stunning. But yeah, if y'all haven't done it yet, go over and give him a sub. Let's get him over 1,000. Get him moving. He's been having fun with his channel here lately, though. He done some stuff with Tim Childers. Tim's been doing his videos on Scotland here lately. He's changed his thing at the top. I really need to update mine. His looks super good. Looks way better than mine. Have a good evening, Latham. Thank you for checking in. Enjoy supper. How many photos do you take in a month? Do you delete any? No, I don't delete, except like when I was talking about earlier with the Sacred Harp singing. I'll do in-camera delete there. And if there's two questionable, like there's two and I can't figure out which one I like, I'll leave them both. But like I can tell looking in the camera, or what I'll do is I'll look through the EVF, because it's got such high resolution. I can actually see really well through the EVF, and I can determine if the camera's out of focus or if it's underexposed, because I run auto exposure with the ISO, and I'm trying to run spot metering on the subject that I'm wanting for it to meter, but people are moving, and since they're moving, they move off of my spot meter doohickey, so sometimes I'll have a photo that's way underexposed, and then the next one will look fine, so I'll delete those, you know. But usually I'll just get the ones that are grotesquely out of focus. But all the ones, but let's see here. Costa Rica, February 2022. All right. Like a CL. El Mangrove. That was the resort. If you'll notice, these are the images I kept. Then here's the culls folder. So all I do is I create a folder, and then I just drag all the images I didn't want into it. Like this guy here who's dadgum Sasquatching through my photo when I was trying to do my sunset image. I need to do a photo book of bad travel photos. I kept them all. I have a culls folder in every single one of these. I have hard drives filled with culls that look like this. And it's out of focus. It's underexposed and out of focus. So yeah. It looks like that's a giant frog. Yeah. There was probably two just alike. That's why he's still in focus. Nope, he's blurry. It's close enough. But yeah. As far as how many photos I take in a month, it varies from month to month. But usually, since I'm doing street photography here at home, when I do those trips, I normally will take 50, 60 images at a time. And let me think. I'm probably doing 400, 500 a month, something like that. A Sacred Harp singing will have 400 or 500 in just a singing, and then I'll weed that down to probably 180 when I get home, Wow. And that, yeah, I store mine very similar to that. Like, if we go in, that's the search function here. Let's just pick this year. This is the new, I just started this hard drive. And as you can see, I've got, I started it in September. There's a reason that AD is there, but, for September, inside of it will be everything I did in the month of September. Where we went to Bryson City. I try to name it stuff relevant, and then, night photos on September 6th. The Ingalls sign in Trenton. That was a night shoot where I just happened to see it at the sunset, and I was like, man, that's pretty epic. Let's see here. Just to give you an idea. I thought, that's a pretty cool photo. So I stopped and got some of them. The sunset was a little more colorful. Or maybe I'm going the wrong way in the set. But, I date them. So, yeah, you get this idea. Is that new folder got photos in it? No, it's just a spare one that I never used. Huntsville Hamfest. I took a bunch of photos at the Hamfest. And I did this for a blog. It's like, these are just, it's almost like stock images. I just want pictures of stuff at the Hamfest. But yeah, I do it like that. And then I have my projects, like the year I started them, and then I keep them all like that. And that way, as I work on these, I can get to them quickly, and I can find them easily, and I can add to them or work on like the, the sequence and things like that. Yeah, but yeah, I keep them at the top so I can drop things in them as I go. And then there's some unofficial projects that don't even have a folder, and I'm just like, they're in the back of my head, and I'll go back later and like in September, I know that these are night photos, so I'll go to the night photos. I thought that's pretty cool. It needs a little bit of editing, but I thought, man, that's a pretty cool photo. It'll get edited before it's over with. But anyway, that's my methodology now. Over the years, it has gotten better, but my normal, like, what do you call it, cataloging has been bad. Don't use me as a reference. Ray says, Ray said he could get around having to pay for Lightroom if he used his work login, but he says that creates a internal moral issue with himself, and he just wouldn't feel right about doing it, so he don't. It's kind of good though, even if you didn't have the moral compunction, it's a good idea to have a separate account, because if you ever left the job, you would still be able to want to access your catalog, and this way you own your catalog. It's yours. So there's two good reasons then. You're welcome, Albert. No problem. Ray says, I used to keep everything. Now I edit my keepers and the rest go away. I was up to almost 10 terabytes a couple of years ago. Dude, I'm way past 10 terabytes. But you can't, you can tell. Over here on the side, you have this David Volume 4. It's a 4 terabyte drive. And David Volume 5, I just started on as a 4 terabyte. And there's a 3, a 2, and a 1. And then there's a couple more before 1, because I started naming them that after a certain point. And, they're like 2 and a 2 and a 1 and a 1 and a 1. I got a stack of these things. But yeah, I always put all my photo projects and date them the year I started them. That way I know what's going on with them and when I began. I thought that's a good idea. Let's see. Steve says, I keep all my images based on the year and month and can go back to the year 2000. Man, that's some dedicated cataloging there. That's a high quality hard drive unless you've been updating it. A D30. Wow. I didn't get a digital interchangeable lens camera till 2012. Steve says, what's your favorite photo genre? Guessing street or waterfalls. For me, it'd be street / human evidence, I think is what I'm going to start calling it. I like photos that shows that people have been there, but are not really there now. Let me see. No, wrong one. But it's like I want to see urban decay, but still in a not out by itself, fenced off, completely tagged out with graffiti tagging and all the windows broke out with rocks. Not out like that kind, like the U.S. Pipe Foundry, but maybe, let me see. I think it would be in here. No, that's the wrong one. I bet it's this day. Yes. Let's see. This one should do. Okay. Let me switch you over. This is the kind of stuff I like. It's hard to get action photos of people in Chattanooga. There are just not many people. Unless you're there at certain times of the day, it's a ghost town, unless it's when people are going to lunch or when they're getting off work, or like Friday evenings is a pretty hopping time in downtown because they have a lot of activities. But, if I go at 10:30 in the morning because I had some free time that day, there ain't many people there. And So when I am there and there is somebody to photograph, or I have some activity, I'll try and stage a photo. Of course, this one was in the cull folder for obvious reasons, because I can't even crop it into a squaring. I probably could still salvage it. Let's see. But that's the building behind it is closed now. What have I done? Oh, it'll load eventually. That's a high-res that's a full-res image, I think. If I cancel back out of that. I have broken it. There we go. Yeah, this one's a lot leveler. Let's just pick this one. But what I was trying to do is get somebody walking by the old Darryl Sandwich Shop sign. And you can see they've boarded up the windows and doors and painted them out. These curtains are paint from some kind of old business that used to be upstairs. But yeah, they're painted on. Look at that. Isn't that neat? But yeah, I'm just trying to, I like this kind of photography. That's more my favorite over just like that whole getting up in someone's face like Bruce Gildan does. That's not me. I'm not that guy. If I'm trying to get photos of people, I want them to be doing more than like in that picture you just saw of them just walking down the street. I took that because that was all I could get. People were just commuting down that sidewalk. I didn't have any real other thing else to grab there. But I would rather have them interacting, talking to two people or a person doing something more than surfing their phone, though, or smoking a cigarette. Now, if they're surfing their phones while they're smoking, that's compounded enough, but I would still like to have something else maybe in the background that's a little of interest, because that's become so synonymous with American society that it's almost cliche at this point. It's kind of boring. So many people are just doing this, walking down the sidewalk or standing there, and it can be photographed and be made interesting if there's something else that creates an interesting context, but just to catch a person standing on a sidewalk surfing their phone, But yeah, that's kind of what I like. That, and I like urban decay. I really like urban decay photography. If you noticed, let me just switch back over to this. If I close this window and close this window, this was taken at a abandoned factory. This screensaver is. Looking through the broken windows of one building to another one where the sun was painting it well with the evening light. And that photo, that's the kind of photos I like. It has juxtaposition. I'm not just photographing graffiti. It's the scene through that window is what I'm getting. That's the kind of stuff I enjoy. I enjoy that too. But in documenting like buildings before and after, like if they tear down a building and build a new one back, I like to document that stuff. That's kind of cool. Hassan says, just found one of my first photos I took with the Nikon N70 or 75 film camera, I think. Still to this day, one of my favorite pictures. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. On the refrigerator is a photo I took of my daughter Sierra when she was literally like 3 minutes old, maybe less. They did a C-section, took the baby, and then they cleaned her up, and they wipe her off with like a warm towel and get all the blood and junk off, and held her up, and they took a Polaroid. Well, I had my camera with me, and I had practiced, so I could make sure I had the right speed film to be able to shoot indoors without flash. And I had my Yashica around my neck, and they let me be in there with it. So once they took the Polaroid, I said, can I take one with my camera? And they were like, yeah, sure. So they held her up. I took her picture. It's hanging on the refrigerator in there. It's one of my more favorite photos. That was taken during the film era. But yeah, I don't know where the negative is at this point. That's sad, but I don't. I have no idea where that negative's at. So the only photo we have is the one on the refrigerator. That's the only one I'm aware of. And there's a big plastic tote in the bedroom closet that's full of them old film photos and negatives from ages, and it would take so long to sort through that, and I still might not have that negative. Probably do in that bin, but man, it would take an age to go through that. No, it was Nikon N65, I remember now. I don't save the catalog. I put out about 1,200 edited photos. Woo! No way. Thank you, Hassan. Steve Tech guy, like an old missile silo from the 60s. I would absolutely be down for photographing an old missile silo from the 60s, especially if it's abandoned. That would be epic. Candid photography, by far my favorite style. Yeah, I don't like posed photography. I've never bothered to learn how to pose models, so it's not something I've just ever really enjoyed, so I just never do it. Street portraits is one thing. I've done it a little. I'm real uncomfortable doing it, so I don't do it much. But yeah, that's something that. But that's the things I enjoy. We are closing in on a 2-hour live stream, guys. And yo guys have been amazing and have hung with me the whole time. Is Claire still here? Claire Hennessy? I think it was her that signed in at the beginning. Let me scroll back up and see. Pretty sure it was her. Yeah, she was here then. I think she did. She might have left. Well, click on the buttons. It doesn't do anything. I don't know what that does. But, oh, I know why. Because I'm not in YouTube. Okay. I'm playing with the OBS software. It seems to be working better now. I think I've got the audio limiter set to where I don't clip on my mic. I've got the mic figured out so it works. I've got the camera figured out so it works. I've got the light figured out so that the light color is right and it's normal. I think I'm getting there. Yeah, it's been a great night, guys. I got to get ready to go to bed because we got to get up early. I got to drive to Atlanta first thing in the morning. Hassan says, come on, Dave, you had to get a Polaroid because they wouldn't let you take the daguerreotype in the operating room. Oh, their Polaroid was terrible. It was just pathetic. My film camera image turned out to be like 50 times better. No, you're still here. Ah, great. You took 1,200 photos in October. Wow, Ray, that's incredible. Yeah. I don't know that I've took 1,200 photos with my SL2 at all. I probably have. I don't know. I'd have to figure out how to count it and see. Because I reset the counter on it recently when I did a firmware update. But yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off, you guys, and go in here and get ready for bed. Because I got to get up in the morning pretty early, and we're going to drive a couple hours south to the wonderful world of Hotlanta. If any of you are ever interested in coming to a Sacred Heart Singing, I can give you the hookup because they have a little book. I don't have it in here with me. That basically has all of them published, and they're all over the place, and there's one about every weekend. So Hassan says, I'm only 3 hours from Atlanta. Next time you guys come down, let me know. All right. That's just edited photos for October. Good grief, dude. Yeah, Lightroom pays for you. Good night, Albert. Thank you. All right. Let's see. If you haven't done it yet, the like button, the subscribe button, they're down in this corner. And hit the notification bell so you'll know when I do stuff. Let's see. I got a video coming out tomorrow. And a video Phil has is coming out tomorrow, and they're of the same event. So when you watch one, go watch the other. And you'll see two different perspectives of the same event. I'm curious to see what Phil got. Atlanta is 3 hours from Atlanta. You're right, but that's kind of good. Okay, until next time, this is David, the Georgia photographer. I'm going to tell you to get your camera out and go take a picture with it, all right? We'll see y'all later.